when you know that there's more than enough to stop you from going, but you still need to keep going. You know what I mean? And you're looking for the right energy. Please, how about this song, Overcomer from Mandiza? It is also a sick tune for Unedited. Another week, another show. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week we had a blast first episode, and today we're about to go out of the roof. Yeah, man. I hope you've had a great week so far. My week has been good. It's been fantastic. And tonight we'll just make it even better because I have been longing to do what I'm about to do today. Yes. You know when you've been admiring somebody from afar for so long, you know, and you're just looking for that right moment to get to meet her. And guess what? You don't only get to meet her, you get to have that conversation you've been dying to have. That's how I feel right now. My guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a woman with a lot of titles, you know, from a businesswoman to a speaker, global speaker, I should say, to a consultant, a life coach, and what? CEOs of businesses. Businesses. She's that kind of woman who walks into the door, and no matter how low you are on energy, there's like a virtual energy drink that just rushes into your body and you're up and running again. That's right. And it's my pleasure to say that we share something in common. In fact, maybe two. I'll say one for the beginning because she happens to also have gone to the same senior high school I did. No, I happen to have gone because she's older than me, right? We are all products of Accra Girls Senior High School. Shout out to all the Agostas doing the listener right now. But enough talk, ladies and gentlemen. My guest for Unedited tonight, yes, is the ever beautiful, ever intelligent Jigbodi Kwaku Dosu. Did I get it right?
You got it.
I got it right. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Let me first say, your pictures don't even do you justice.
Oh my God.
You are proper pretty.
Aww.
I'm not flattering you. It's true. I was telling my producer, I'm like, you know, she's quite pretty online, but in person, she's really pretty.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So what's the magic, really? Is it because you have your beauty background, the spa business and all of that?
It's just me.
Just you.
It's just the grace of God. That's what I say. I just say that I'm living in the grace of God every day. Or I'm living the grace of God.
Absolutely, it's telling you. Let's start from a common point. Let's start from Accra Girls.
Yes.
What house were you in?
I was in IE House, what you call IE House now. But when I was in Accra Girls, it was called New House.
All right.
So we're one of, you know, it was now starting. So it was the newest house. So you had Bachman, you have Gibson, which were then Green House, White House, and there was actually Pink House.
Okay.
So that was a new development. And,
right.
Some of us, I always say that some of us...
Selected few.
Selected few. I don't know how we were selected, but we got to go there.
Okay.
And later I became IE House. But of course, I mean, it was fresh, it was new. And the other houses used to always be envious. And when we had friends there, they would make us walk all the way, you know. And you guys didn't have we had a senior house mistress. I know anyone who was Agosa in the 80s or the 70s or the 80s, I mean, they would tell you that Miss Clotte, our senior house mistress, you have to walk past her house, you have to walk past the headmistress's house to get to White House and Green House, and anything can happen on that journey.
Not to interrupt you, but your house mistress at the time ended up being my headmistress at my time. At my time.
Oh, wow.
So I know what you're talking about.
So we went through something. But it was all I have to say was that there was something about New House. I mean, when we left or when we were just about leaving, it was called IE House, but it was also the bourgeois, you know.
Don't rub it in. No, don't rub it in, because I know you know which house I was in.
And not that Green House, which is Bachman House, and it was a trouble house at that time.
Well, it depends on what side of the coin you're on.
And it was close to the wall, so there was something about that one too. But they were troublesome.
Well, at the time I was there, not because I was there, but we were okay. You know, we were not troublesome. We just didn't like IE people too much because some were trouble.
Yeah, and they really showed us. I mean, they showed us they were troublesome. They made us feel it.
Yeah,
we didn't know what we were about.
You know, it's interesting because I mean, your background. You had your grandmom who was your role model for the longest time. Your mom had her own business going on. Your father was a lawyer, and he also had his own many other pockets of business going on.
That's right.
So it's safe to say that you came from a pretty good background. So how much of school really molded you in your journey?
I mean, I always say that, I came from a pretty good background, but I also came from a background that really, there was no, so you have, I don't know, I mean, I think it still exists, but many, many years ago, you could have a parent that was known, like my dad was the chairman of Black Star Line, yes, but everybody knows that in that home, the level of discipline, the level of, like, they don't care whether I'm at the top, you still go through it. And my grandmother was that person. And I think today, I mean, when I give a lot of credit to her, at some point, I think my dad just literally said he wanted me to have that. I mean, me as the girl, because of course we had all boys, and I was the only girl that came up. So he wanted me to have a bit of reality, let me say it. So my grandmother's, and I tell my grandmother's story a lot because she was literally an illiterate. She was a maid servant at 3 years old. She was given to somebody, a family, a couple. So she was raised the hard way. So even though she worked for everything she got, she didn't change the way she raised us. And she raised a lot of children, my cousins and everyone. And she basically transferred that same level of discipline to us. While my mother was the one who was generous, fun, easygoing, my grandmother was the tough one. And then my dad was in the middle because he was caught between, should I be treated like the only girl or should I? So he just threw me into teaching me things about like life. So I started work very early. And I think it was both of them. It was a struggle. I started work like 12 years old. I mean,
doing what?
Selling Piccadilly biscuits.
Right. Around Adabraka.
Literally around Adabraka. So you know my story, right? And,
a bit of it.
And the people who live in Adabraka, I mean, even recently, my mother's funeral, people remembered me. And my grandmother was a Piccadilly distributor. And she was also a cloth distributor. At that time, it was textiles. It was Ghana Textile. And, so she would take them in bales. But Piccadilly was her big thing because it was food.
Right.
So food is a daily thing. So we go to the light fire service. It was just behind the Koli Lagoon.
Right.
And we'll go there at 4 a.m. because you have to go there. You need a chit.
Yes.
And then you would walk into their yard.
Yes.
And then they would pack it. And she would put it behind one of these cars, these Nissan cars. And I had to go with her to the street to actually go and pick it. So she didn't give me that time to say, oh, let me sleep and stuff. So this is vacation. So I went to Richard School, by the way. So whilst my friends were sleeping and chilling, my grandmother would take me to Piccadilly Biscuits. And then when we get there, she would say I should go and bring one of those cars. And even the drivers got to know me very young. And then I would go back into the yard. We would collect this Piccadilly and then we would come to Adabraka Circle, it was around Circle. And she would pour it down and we had to count every single one.
Are you kidding me?
So it wasn't like boxes.
Yes.
You count everything. Then when she finishes, when she gives it to her wholesalers and her retailers who come and take it, then she will take one of the zinc plates and actually put it on it and say, okay, Jibodi, it's time for the name she used to call me, I don't want to say, but it's time for you to go.
So was it where you got your desire for perfection? Because I mean, now if I'm just comparing that experience to what you're doing now, where you're helping business executives and young people to stay in line. Do you think that's where that began?
Yes, detail. I mean, attention to detail, and that's why I tell people that you don't actually only learn in school. There are 3 ways to learn. I use it. I say you have qualification by experience, qualification by education, and qualification by exposure. Okay, and then the other one is qualification by emotion. But the qualification, I started mine with experience because it's like my socialization was that way. So I was that way inclined. But when I still didn't feel like, if you talk to anybody who was like my classmate at Richard, for example, I used to feel like I was a misfit my whole life. I used to...
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting you're talking about that.
Yes. And I honestly, today when people look at me, it's like, hey, you've come... Because everybody had like a nice social circle. So you go to this prep school and okay, they are the pretty girls. they are the ones in the middle, average, and then you had people who had social circles, people who the teachers liked, people, so everybody, some teachers liked, some people, but you were just in the mix.
Yeah.
You are just an average student. And that's why today I tell people that don't even count yourself out if you fall into that category, because you feel like you're in a sea of people and nobody's recognizing anything about you.
Exactly.
And that is where I was.
Let's go back to when you were growing. I mean, as a young girl, you probably had dreams of how you presume your life was going to be. Probably, at a certain age do this and at a certain age do that and all of that. Did it turn out like that? What did you envisage?
It turned out differently, but I wasn't surprised, because you see, I tell people the story that I think I was just, as a kid, I was a misfit. So it turned me into a restless person.
Okay.
So, it was interesting. It leads me to some of the thing I'll talk today about grief and everything. It's easy for people to tell you that, everything's, what's your problem? Your dad works here. You have your grandmother, you have this. But everybody's telling you what you are, but inside what you are and what you're going through. And what they're saying and what you are feeling don't match. And that's exactly, so I had a dream that I never saw entrepreneurship, if that's what you're saying.
Okay.
I couldn't even figure out what I wanted to be. And that's why I tell people today, I didn't know specifically. You know how kids will say, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a doctor. And some people turn out, they affirm it and they manifest it.
Are you any of the things you envisaged you'd be?
I just knew that at some point, actually, one of the things I thought I was going to be was a lawyer. I mean, because my dad was a lawyer. So I just said it to say it. But I don't think that was what I really wanted to be, because I did manifest some of the things I said. But really, I thought, okay, I'll just go and be a lawyer because my dad is a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or because my grandmother, she always tells me, listen, if you're going to go the intellectual path, look at the things your dad is doing or your older brothers are doing. That is what maybe you can be. But if you want to understand life, then hang around me. She was very clear.
Right.
Because she said, listen, everything I'm doing now. So my grandmother self-taught herself English. From the house, she was a maidservant. She listened to the vowels and she learned. So by the time she stayed with them till she was like 15 years old. So 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
When she started going to school at around 13, 14, 15, she was going to like class 1 and class 2, and so at some point she just gave up.
Interesting background. I mean, you remember when I said that the two things we had in common? I was raised by my grandmother as well.
Okay.
So I can still relate to lots of things.
And there's a third one. But that would have to tell you a secret.
Oh, right.
We actually share something like very, very, very common. And I'll show it to you in a minute.
Okay.
But it's a secret. I don't know whether I want to share it online, because now that'll be my name after, but it's okay.
We'll talk about that. But let's come back to, our subject matter, which is dealing with loss, grieving, and overcoming it to pursue, to keep your eye on the goal. I want to believe you were very close to your grandmother.
Yes.
You were very close to your father as well.
Yes.
And of course your mom as well.
Yes.
Which of them did you have to lose? Did you lose that had to, give you a reality check to the point that look, they are gone, I'm here, I need to keep moving?
My father first. So my father went first.
How old were you then?
When my father went, I had just started. I just finished. He came for my graduation, actually.
Okay.
And then he left after my graduation. I was actually outside, and he left. And then within 3 weeks, he was gone. Okay. So that broke me, because I had not seen him for many, many years.
Right.
Then he came for my graduation, and I think that was his goodbye. But then we had so much different times, and at that time he came with my mother.
Okay.
So when they returned, then I have my mom screaming on the phone 3 weeks later to say this was has happened. Well, I had to come back to Ghana, but that was that whole period was a daze for me. So I can't kind of remember what I went through. I mean, now sometimes flashbacks come.
Yeah.
But the reality check was my grandmother. And with my grandmother, the reason why that was a first hit was, like you said, there have been, let me call it, 4 key pillars in my life. My father, my older brother, my mother, and my grandmother, my oldest brother, who is now like a dad and a mentor and everything to me. He's alive. So 3 of these pillars have gone within short periods. So my husband, my older brother, my dad, and my grandmother. Yes, that's where they are. So when my grandmother died, I was a speaker. I was actually on my way to speak in Switzerland, in Interlaken, Switzerland. I was with her before I left to the airport, and I was telling her, I just don't want to leave. I just did not feel like traveling. And she was the one who told me, she's like, go, you need to do this, So two things. To cut it short, I was happy she saw me at a stage of life that I had reached. But I was also sad she didn't see me go on further, because it was one of those things. This was one of my few international assignments that I was now getting. That was my global speaking stuff, and it was exciting. So I told her all about it. I actually wrote my framework next to her bed, and she told me to go. I got on the flight. When I landed, then I heard she had passed. That exact. So I landed
within hours.
She was telling me. So that was a reality check. That was when the decision was, do you go on or do you return to Ghana? Because
how did you manage that? I mean,
exactly.
This is a woman,
and I was away, and I was just with her hours. So it was when I was on the flight that it happened. So I land, and then this is the first call I get, because I don't normally get, and the call came from my mom and my husband, who were together. My mom didn't know how to tell my mom. And everybody who knows me knows my relationship with my grandmother. Even the public knows, because she was literally the matriarch, the mother. I was raised by her. Even though my mother was around, she was traveling a lot. So I was raised by my grandmother. Like literally everything I know, waking up at 4 a.m., sweeping, mixing. I make a joke of the fact that when I was in Richards, she would mix mascatella with water and let me understand how to do economics. This is everything. So I learned, and I have this thing. So that was the first time I learned to challenge grief.
What do you mean by that?
Decide. Do you live with it and do what you have to do? Or do you give up and go where you have to go? Go where you have to go. Yes, because coming back to Ghana, there's nothing wrong with it. Because it's where I have to go. I have to be with my husband. I have to be with my mother. I have to be with my grandmother, at least in the vicinity. Or do I challenge grief, challenge what I was feeling to go? So it was a decision. And I've had 3 of those decision points. So that happened with my grandmother. With my husband, I tell the story every time. That same day that he passed, I got a coaching call. Somebody is calling with a problem. And I had just lost my husband. The person had no clue, and the person now calls me, and I had not even been able to basically assimilate.
The very day, the same day your husband passed?
Exact day. So I am sitting, and I had not answered any calls, and this phone kept ringing. And then the only call, I saw a call, and I said, let me just answer. What is this? Somebody said, so I was just on a Facebook group having a chat, and I'm having this issue, and somebody said I should call. Your name came up 4 times. Call Jibodi if you need to solve this problem you have. Jibodi is the one that I know. So everybody said, call Jibodi. So she calls, and she says, I had your number because of a relationship we had a long time ago, so I decided to try. And they started saying this. As she started saying that, I had a choice to answer the call to help her, or to answer the call to just say, listen, do you know what just happened to me? And I chose to listen to her. So for 3 hours, she was telling me her problems.
Hold on. Let's just hold on, because we're talking about you who has just lost your husband the very day.
That same day.
And you receive a call from somebody who needs corporate help coaching on a Facebook engagement.
Yes.
Who's calling persistently.
They were in a Facebook group.
They were in a group.
Yes,
she calls you
story. Yes.
at that time.
Yes.
But you decided to attend to her.
Yes.
Why didn't you do the usual?
Exactly. So that's the point. So at every single point, they always say that pain will never go away. You learn to live with it. That is one thing I've come to realize. So if you look at the ripples in my life, whether it is loss, whether it's business failure, whether it is miscarriage. So every single point, there has been some sort of loss.
You've had miscarriages as well?
7, before I had my daughter.
No way.
Yes, 7. So So it's not the kind of adversity we are talking about here. It's not the service. Seven.
You had 7 miscarriages.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you
Before
had your
I had my
daughter. And that when she was 10 years.
Yes, she lost her father.
You lost your husband and her father.
Yes. That's exactly.
What are you made of?
I have like I keep using the point that, you know, I just believe that I have a why, I have a purpose. And my purpose is to basically, now I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to make sure, is to basically impact others, whether it is with the word of God or whether it is with my life story. So if it's if it's ministry, I'm preaching the gospel. If it's life, I'm preaching the gospel of my life. But that is what I have now understood, because every single point that I've been, people have reached out to me. And what I'm saying is that these are not things that people have not been through. But for me, I've been through all of them. You understand what I mean? So it's not like, okay, somebody says, oh, you're a widow, I'm a widow too. Okay. Oh, you lost your business and you had to build it. I lost my business too. Okay. You had a miscarriage, I had a miscarriage too. Oh, you have only one child and she lost her father. Yes, I had to deal with that too. So it's more like multiple. But the thing about it is, what do you do? Do you live with them as conditions or you express them as situations? So I had to decide whether these were situations that can be overcome or conditions that were permanent. It's a decision I had to make.
It's a decision you have to make. Could it also be that, you know how some people defer grief and they defer pain?
Like my daughter did, yes.
So that you'd rather not entertain the grief at a certain point. So you keep postponing it. Was it the case for you that you just could not make room for it? But eventually, I'm trying to understand your psyche.
You see, the thing about it is that I always tell people that I've now come to realize that grief is not something you really, it's better for you to grieve when it happens. But the thing about it is that you have to acknowledge yourself. So I have Miriam, one thing, I was just even telling my team yesterday. I used to talk about this thing maybe 20, 25 years ago. People say it, but a lot of people don't live it. I say don't live life by default, live life by design. Like you have to be very intentional about life. For everything, whether you build soft skills, whether you build public speaking skills, whether you communicate, everything has to be intentional. Now, let me go back to grief, loss, pain. Let me explain that. It's better for you to be in the grief and keep going within the grief. So I'm telling you the truth now, Miriam. I am here, okay, nicely made up and everything. That doesn't mean that if I go and sit in the car now, I may not take my lashes off and start crying. That doesn't mean that I am completely whole. And that is an acceptance I have to be. It's not even been a month that I put my mom in the ground. So if I break, it's okay. And that's what I want people to, and people saw me break. It's okay to break. When my husband died, I still helped that lady and helped her through. He died on Saturday. She actually found out on Wednesday. Before she called me and said, oh, I'm sorry. I had helped her with her problem. But I was still breaking day by day. So I still break. Okay, so I don't want to say I defer grief.
Right.
And that word strength is not strong. It is just empowering yourself to live in every moment. So I just want to tell you that if you're going through grief, loss, adversity, pain, tragedy, whatever it is that somebody is sitting down going through right now, at this moment, they should acknowledge it, accept it, and if they have to break, they can break. The only thing is they must keep in mind that it is situational and not a condition. And that is where people have not separated.
Speaking of situational, I mean,
Yes.
we unfortunately, we live in a society where people put tags on people, and they bundle people up and put them in a certain stereotype. You lost your husband. You've had 7 miscarriages. Like you said, you've literally had all the misfortunes that, and somebody would say, oh, I've had one or two of it, but you've had
chronology. And
Thank you.
These are just few.
So, I mean, when you were going through that process, did you have people who thought, what is it about you
Yes.
that this
Yes.
and that
Yes.
and that?
Yes.
And how did you deal with it? Because it's the truth about society.
Yes.
People tag people for
Yes.
whatever reason because of their circumstances.
Yes, I even get calls that, listen, why are you sharing this story? Because then you're going to get a tag for it. Why are you telling people what you have been through? Why are you? And I believe in.
And these are close people. These are family people.
They are. It doesn't matter close or. I mean, I get from all sorts. I get people who tell people who are close to me to tell me. I get
stop
people,
talking.
Yes, don't share. But the thing about it is that that's why I said that you have to get to a stage where you understand your why. And it's not, I want to separate this. It's not understanding why you're going through this. Understanding your why. Your why is different from why you're going through it, because people will use the word, oh, I was put through this for a reason and for a season. Yes, but I'm saying your why is what is clear enough so that when you're going through this, you don't keep it, you don't hide it, you don't bundle it. Miriam, there are so many seemingly strong people, we're sitting in the studio,
Yes.
there are 10 people here.
Yeah.
There are people that are in pain. There are people that have nothing in their pocket.
Yeah.
Listen, I have dressed up and gone to places with nothing, empty pocket. But everybody sees you and they think that you are the best of the best. I've been through that. I've been in situations where I'm dying inside. I'm literally crying, but I have a smile on my face. So really, people are going through things, and we have to be honest about it. And unless they see that somebody else has been through it and
Yeah.
come back from it, then they have hope. So what I give people is that knowledge that you actually have it. So me going bare and sharing my story is not to have fun with it.
Oh, not at all.
The idea is to
Yeah.
let people know that this is me. And one of the things that I've always thought about is the concept of social media.
Right.
One of the reasons why you find a lot of people depressed and even to the point of being suicidal, they see other people's pages.
Yes, and they're influenced by the things they see
And they
that
are
do.
influenced and they are comparing,
Yeah.
the life of comparison.
Right.
Okay. One of the things I said is, why won't I rather share my pain? Why wouldn't I rather share? Everybody's sharing gain.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to share the pain, but I don't want to share the pain as a condition
Right.
that I'm staying there. But I want to share the pain enough to say that, yes, it's a situation, but these are the steps to get
To
over
overcome it.
the situation. And so what I do in my coaching every day, whether it is a challenge or I tell people that I was one of the worst public speakers. Yes.
I can believe that.
I stood on stage and I peed. Literally, it was coming.
No way.
Yes.
How old were you then?
Oh, I was like maybe 14. I think I was. No, it wasn't 14. 18.
18 years.
Yes, 18 years.
Okay.
And I was going to be 9 because I remember I was going to be 19. I was 18 years, 19 years, and now that was my first one.
Right.
And then the second one was between that period and when I really started business in like my early 20s, early 30s, I could not public speak. And when I started my business, I could not public speak. I used to go to personal development classes. I remember there's a story that I tell, and there was a guy, and the guy was like, who is this girl? Are you not going to talk? Whenever I ask questions,
You don't say anything.
You understand? And I used to be, so I tell people today when I see them in
Yes.
my sessions, I tell them I've been you, because I used to be there and today
Yeah.
this. So I remind them that the person didn't speak at 18. The
They
person
can relate. They can relate.
you are
Because
23,
yes.
24, 25 years. You started a business. You have something great.
Yeah.
But you don't talk about it.
We'll talk about the business bit,
Yes.
about starting businesses and
Yes.
losing it along the way and
Yes.
all of that. But let's talk also about your mother.
Yes.
What kind of relationship did you have with her?
Oh my God. So my mother and I we've been through stages. So as a young child, as you know, I was raised by my grandmother.
Yeah.
So even though I knew my mother, she was more transient. She was busy. My dad was the chairman. They were traveling a lot.
Okay.
So my mom was there, like she was there as my mom.
Okay.
But I see her more as like, let me call it my friend. My mom is there. Hey, mom, how are you?
Yeah.
But not my mom. Do you understand? So
I
my
get what you
grandmother
mean.
was that
Was more-
one who
yeah.
was raising you. Then the transition came, it came very late in life. I had finished at this thing, but when the transition came,
Right.
that transition now became from so I would go sometimes to my grandma after my dad died, and they are in the same house. And my mom has her space, and my grandma has her space. So
Okay.
I'll walk to my mom's space and say, "Hey, ma, go and talk to her. How are you doing?" Then I'll go to my grandma's, and that's where I stay.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And even though they were together, so it was like that for a while. Then all of a sudden, I remember my grandmother had a conversation with me. She says, "You know, you have to take care of your mom." And when she said, I was like, "What do you mean take care of your mom?" I think all she was trying to say is like, you have to get close to your mom.
Right.
So she didn't, and she randomly said it. And I think and then I just started. So it's like when I go, I start talking to her. So later in life,
Yeah.
and actually, I must say this, my mom, even at that time, was easier to talk to about like things like boys, friends,
Okay.
than my grandma.
You dare not go there with her.
Exactly. So I couldn't dare do that. So I
Okay.
think she gave me access with that.
Okay.
Because I hadn't seen her for, like, I don't see her often. But when I saw her, she always gave me access with, oh, so what's going on with that? Oh, tell me that secret. That
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she became that person. But then all of a sudden, the relationship changed into a bond. Now, all of a sudden, I felt close. Like, I think that is why people always say that cord doesn't break.
Right.
Because it was an easy, that's why people can say, listen, we can get as far away from our moms as possible. When we get back or
Yeah.
when we get close to them, it's like normal. So she became, now I cared. She was always, and my mom is that generous, loving person. But
Right.
she's very carefree.
And you had a very, she had a nickname.
Yes.
Americana.
Americana. Truth to be told, it wasn't her nickname, it was her name.
It was her name. Oh, okay.
She was actually born whilst her dad was in the US. So she was
Oh,
actually
right.
named, is her Christian name. But
So her
everybody-
Christian name is Americana.
tell you Vivian Americana, and everybody used to think that was like her nickname. It was her name, like how you have G-body. It's
Yes.
her name,
Yes.
her name. But people used to have fun with their name so much that it became like a nickname, and so that's the relationship. So we grew
Right.
closer all the way till the end. Of course, I mean, when she passed, it was in my presence. You
How old was
understand?
she?
She was 79.
She was
And she was
79.
waiting for her 80th birthday, and she was alive, kicking.
How far apart was she from the 80th?
October 4th was going to be
Right.
80th, but she's been telling everybody since January 1st. Really, literally, I think she was just basically anticipating seeing her funeral, because basically she planned everything. She told us exactly what she was expecting for her 80th, how she wanted to look like, everything. I mean, she gave to the T. I mean, she gave the plan, who she wanted there, everything.
And you were
We
probably
were
working on it.
towards the 80th. So that's the plan we're doing. So nobody, I mean, this wasn't anticipated at all. And for me, it's more of the sudden nature. I mean, at a certain age, you expect that they go, but this is sudden, immediate, no time.
It
Like
happened at
one
home?
talking
Or she was at the hospital.
at the hospital. It's like she had an infection and she was gone.
Wow.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So there was 1 minute you have an infection, the next minute you are gone. That's the kind of thing. So that's what makes it.
How did you take the news? Were you
I was
there
right
when it
there
happened?
when she gave up. Yes, and I was shocked. I mean, it was very traumatizing. I'm not going to lie, and it brought a lot of memories back. Because, I saw my husband when it happened to my husband, and I saw my mom too. So I've had to deal with both. And I'm sure you're looking at me like, how can you be sitting here talking like how you're talking? Yeah, because I'm human and I break too. And I could be saying this and I could be crying, and I could be saying this and I could be articulating, and I could be saying this and I could be smiling, thinking about them. Why am I going through this? And yes, I cry. Miriam, I'm not going to say I don't break, but I grieve. But the issue with it is, this is not permanent. Okay, I'm going to live with the death of my mother forever. I'm going to live as long as I'm humanly alive. I'm going to live with the death of my husband. I'm going to live with the fact that I've had 7 miscarriages. I'm going to live with the fact that I've lost my business. I'm going to live to the fact that my daughter has lost her dad. She's my only biological daughter who lost her dad. So I'm going to have to live with every single piece of it. The question is, what do I choose to do? And that is what I ask people every day. So I don't force people. What do I choose to do? Do I choose to coil? Miriam calls me and I say, I can't be there.
I mean, that would
it will make sense to you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess it would make a perfect reason for not, showing
but
up.
I'm very sure there's somebody who's listening now who has gone through the loss of her parent, could be mother or father. There's somebody who's probably listening now who has lost their husband or their wife. There's somebody who is listening now who has probably had miscarriages and thinks they will never have a child again, ever. They probably haven't had 7. They probably had 1. They probably had 2. There's somebody now who doesn't even know the next step they're going to take in business. They tried, and in one of the biggest economic downturns that we've been through ever, they have probably lost everything. And I know people, and they've lost a business they gave everything to. They put in all their capital. They are listening to me now.
Yeah.
Or somebody they know is listening to me now. And the person is asking themselves, what do I do? And that is why I'm sitting here, Miriam. I'm not here to tell you life is perfect. No, I'm not here to tell you life is not painful. I'm not here to tell you that you don't lose. And I'm not here to even dare tell you don't break. I don't have that right. But I'm here to tell you that there is always an intention and a decision away from coming back. And coming back is not easy. Okay, so nobody should tell anybody, oh, you are going to be fine. Like I always tell people, when somebody is grieving, the worst thing you can tell them is you're going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. How are they going to know that? How am I going to know that everything is going to be fine? So that's the question I have for somebody who is there right now, somebody who is listening to me right now, somebody who has been through a loss right now. People ask me, okay, so do I talk to people? So I'm angry at God. I talk to God.
I was going to come to that. I mean, I know that you have very, very strong faith.
Yes.
That's for sure. You have a very, very strong faith. And it's probably the reason, the engine that keeps you running and going through all that you've gone through.
Yes.
But to be very realistic, there are times that you sit and have conversations with God and you ask them, why do you let all these things happen? I'm sure you also get to that point sometimes where you think back at what you have gone through and you don't want to pray.
Yeah.
And you don't want to even hear that same gospel song you love so much, that song that gives you so much hope.
But if you know God, you don't have to pray. That's the thing. You don't have to do anything. You can lock yourself in the room and stay there. You can choose to be in the midst of people. Like what I tell people is, when you hit a place of pain, do what you want to do. So that's my first therapy. Do what you want to do at that moment.
What do you usually do?
I don't run to prayer like people think that I do. Listen, I tell people the human being. I know God. God lives in me.
Yes.
Okay. And I know God enough to know that He is love. So I don't run to prayer and say, God, why? No, I don't do that.
You don't question question Him for allowing all the tribulations to come your way?
God is love. So He doesn't bring the tribulations your way. Life brings the tribulations your way. That's another thing. I'll take it by the time you realize I'm preaching the gospel. But what I'm trying to say is that I've come to understand over the years that God is love. And because God is love, He lives in you. But one of the things is that you are human and you live on earth. So when it happens, allow it. Allow yourself to mourn the process. Mourn the loss of your business. Don't sit down and say, what can I do next? Mourn first. Release the pain first. So mourn the loss of your business. Mourn the loss of your boyfriend. Mourn the divorce. Mourn every separation, loss. And I mean, fear. It is normal. So when people talk about fear, people are always fearing loss. That's the number one thing.
Yes.
They fear loss before anything else. When it comes, mourn it. Cry. Break down. Lie down. Close the door. Shut the door. Do whatever. Decide not to pray. It is okay. And people say, pray. No. Where are you going to find the voice to pray? Where are you going to find the energy to pray? You don't have it. Listen, when the day I had to close down my business, what am I going to pray for. I mean, I'm human. Okay, and I was now telling hundreds of staff
Right.
that this is what our situation is, and then the next step is this and this and this. So I tell them, okay, go home, and then I go and say, oh God, no, I mourned it, and you have to mourn it.
And this year, 2023 would have been what, 20 what years? How many years?
25th year.
25th year.
And I'm still an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So you see, the thing about it is that I had to choose to make that a transition rather than a closure. So
Let's backtrack a little bit for the purpose
Yes.
of anyone
People
who's
to
not sure.
understand. Yes.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
So, Jigbodi, you led or you pioneered Spar
Spa,
business.
Ghana. Yes.
I mean,
1998.
Exactly, with the Leo.
Yes.
It was
My
its
father's
thing.
living
I mean,
room.
it was a
Yes.
place to be.
Yes.
And Alio was all over.
Yes.
But I have heard you talk
Yes.
about how it may look all glam and all of that,
Exactly.
but it wasn't exactly what was happening.
Exactly. And I mean, if anybody is in business today, an entrepreneur will be truthful to you. Okay, so the real thing about entrepreneurship is one of the biggest things I did was to be able to build a brand
Yes.
that superseded the concept. It took the concept to another level.
Yes.
Okay, so that brand, there was the brand Alio, and then there was the brand Jibodi. But behind the scenes, it was a business. So there's a brand in front and there's a business behind.
Yes.
And that's what people have to separate. That's why when I work with entrepreneurs today, I remind them, whilst you're building the brand, build the business too. Because the two B's go together. And when you leave the business, you may have the brand name, but the business will be dropping.
Right.
And that is exactly what happened. So in the background, we were struggling in different ways. Now, what was the issue? I was just expanding at a fast rate and not looking behind me. And there's nothing wrong with that as a business. You can scale. But the thing about it is that whilst you are going, you need to be making sure that your back is covered all the way. So the business, I don't, everybody says, oh, you can't take responsibility because you this and this happened. No, I take full responsibility. It doesn't matter whether people stole, whether I lost, whether, it doesn't matter. It's my business. So I took that responsibility. That was the first. So I mourned. When I finished, I acknowledged what had happened. And then I looked in it and I picked up the pieces. But
Right.
it was a conversation. And I must be honest, it was a conversation that someone had with me. And I went to see that person. And at that time, I didn't, and that's what I always say, you see the right person. You have to be in a safe space. That's what I tell people today. Because I think one of the things that makes people most depressed is that they share the information with the wrong people.
With the wrong people.
So that then leads them to say it to the wrong people. Everybody tags you. But I shared it in a safe space. And the person told me, says, you know what? You built Alio from scratch up. Nobody did. And you, Jibodi, you built Alio. And the same Jibodi is living and breathing. So why can't you bring it back up? Why can't you build it? Because it's the same thing. You put everything together. So I always tell business people that if the DNA of the business is in you, you can build the blocks back again. And that is, so I just went back and separated the lessons. Okay, so the lessons that are dead and the lessons that are living. So I took the living lessons and started again. That's all I did. So I took the lessons that worked.
Yes.
And settled. So if you look at where I am today, you call me many things. And it's true. People call me a multi-passionate, but really, you see, what people don't know is that my background is investment banking.
Yes.
I mean, that's actually, so people say, oh, wow, you're so intelligent. Okay, I already had that background.
That training.
So I'd worked in investment banking, I'd worked in financial services, I'd grown and developed and managed in that area already. So when I did that and I was doing the side hustle, I was just exerting myself. So I was an investment banker. So I have always been that.
Yes.
I am still that today. I still do consulting and deals. And people don't know that. I keep that quiet.
Yeah.
But I did that and I had Alio. So every part of a business had made a transition. Whilst I was in Alio,
Right.
then the expansion opportunities came. So I expanded one into the academy, Alio Academy. So
Yeah.
I had Alio Spa in the city.
Yes.
Then that was when I had multiple branches of the service
Yes.
itself. Then I had the Alio Academy. Then I started the Alio Sales and Distribution Company. Then I started the brand Kanshi. Then within Alio, I had Alio Kids, I had Alio Man. So you are talking about brands that have come together.
Yes.
What people didn't know is I had an events business. I had a catering company.
And you
I
were
had a
running all
restaurant.
these businesses at the
Exactly.
same time.
And I had a restaurant. So just think of someone with 8 different units under them. So the crumble was not just automatic. It came suddenly.
Looking back now, do you feel you took on too much?
Yes. And I'll never tell anybody anything else. I think I expanded too fast, and I think I took on too much. When I decided to turn around,
Right.
I decided to focus on my core competency, which was then wellness. My biggest pillars had been the knowledge I had and placed in the spa wellness industry. But
Yeah.
what people didn't know is that all that time, when I was doing all of this, I was still doing what we call counseling and coaching today.
Interesting.
And I was studying.
Oh, so this was a long time ago.
I was studying. And that's what, so I tell people today, I was studying, I was going to school for this, because people will come into Allure, and I didn't know it was coaching then.
Yes.
But they'll come into Allure and then they'll come and talk to me about issues. And so because I didn't know how to go about it, I started studying, and I stumbled on it. And that's when I actually started being a certified high performance coach.
And
so,
that's taking you around the world.
exactly.
Doing all sorts of public speaking.
Exactly.
You know?
So that business, and I tell people today that the Allure concept, Allure came back. Then that's what people don't know.
But not in the same form that we had seen it in the beginning.
So people thought, okay, Allure crumbled. What did you do? Allure actually came back, but when it came back differently. It came back even more revived, but it came back with me at the forefront.
Yes.
This time around. I've always been at the forefront, but it came back with Djibouti, and then those other businesses came out. So the transition has been from investment banking to wellness, to hospitality, to personal branding, so coaching, what I call CTF, coaching,
Right.
training, facilitation. So that's the space, and then speaking. Okay.
Interesting. And I know April and May will be a very exciting month for you.
April, May, June, actually.
April, May, June.
Yes, there's so much happening.
Right.
And I know,
So
yes.
fill us in about what's happening in these 3 months.
So May is exciting because May, I'm dealing with a subject and a topic which is similar to what we are talking about, relationships. We are talking about communicate to understand me better. Basically, the whole concept about, a lot of people have gotten this relationship thing, and they focus only on love relationship, but there's
Right.
love, there's professional, and then how you manage your friendships. And this is one of them. When you're going through grief, who is your safe space? When you're going through loss, who is your safe space? When you know how to communicate with people better, you would get to know. Actually, I've been putting on my social media a series of videos
Yes.
that actually teach people how to communicate and have successful relationships.
I've seen quite a number of them.
Exactly. So that's one. And
Right.
then from that, in June, we are doing Become a Better Speaker. So communication to understand you better is basically, and I'm bringing one of my close friends, Tarafela Durote from Nigeria, who is a resounding success, Tara Cosmetics, and she is she's put her relationship out in the public to teach how to marry well.
So this is happening in June.
Yeah, no, it's May 6th.
In May 6th.
Yes,
Okay.
and then I, PG Sebastian, who's a relationship expert. So
Yes.
it's bringing. Can you imagine bringing 3 powerhouses to come and teach for a day?
I've got 4 minutes left.
Yes, so
but
that's
this
what it
point
is.
of it, this
Yes.
point of a conversation is
yes.
very, very interesting.
But it is the key thing that I have to say is, Miriam, if we're going to talk, we'll talk for a day. But I want to focus on something. I want to focus on the fact that you brought me here to basically explain that you can actually go through loss of all kinds.
Yeah.
So you can go through loss of all of that and not lose your life. That's what I want people to understand. So you can go through all kinds of loss and still choose life. And if there's anybody who is out there now and is listening, that is what I want them to know, because many times I had the option, to not choose life. And that's why I want everybody who is out there who has a loved one to always check in on them and to make sure. And then when I always say that people talk about giving up, suicide, pain, they need help. It doesn't matter whether it's just simple thoughts or active thoughts. passive thought or active thought, they need help. But the key thing is about the choice you make. So if there's anybody out there right now who has any kind of loss, that's what I'm saying, marriage, divorce, pain, any kind of loss you are going through, or you've lost someone, I want to remind you that you have a choice. And that choice is first to choose to live. And that choice to live is not because you have a complete purpose. Purpose is transient. Purpose continues to uncover. I don't think I found my complete purpose. I think I've just found just a little cover. So don't expect, and one, people out there who judge people, let me just send you a message. Don't expect everybody to be perfect. Don't expect everybody to have a purpose. Don't expect everybody to be the best, because most people are average. I started as an average child. I started as a restless child. I started, let me use the word, extremely fat. I can't even.
No way.
Yes. I got to a stage where I was a size 20 US. Yes. And I have pictures. I've put it on social media before. People saw it, were surprised. It's there. It's still on social media. So I've been that. So anything you can think about, I have been through it. And so don't give up on that life, because that's what it is. So you have a choice to live. You can lose everything, and I'll just give what my mentor told me. That human being in you can bring everything back.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I am not sitting here as a perfect person. So when you see Jibodi, remember that I'm sitting here as a human being. But what I'm doing is that every single facet and aspect of my life is to tell you that every single aspect and facet of your life is possible.
Before we go, what's that one thing, or what that one moment that your daughter said something to you that completely changed your outlook about life?
That's not my dad.
That's not her dad.
When she saw her dad the first time, basically she saw the difference between life and death.
When you say she saw her dad the first time, when she
had to view his body, she looked at him and said, "Mom, that's not my dad." And I never understood it, because I saw her dad, but I saw her dad in a different state. We had to do it alone at the time. When the first time we viewed my husband's body, it was just myself and my daughter. And when she walked down and stood there, she said, "Who is that?" "That's not my dad." And he looked exactly like him. Everybody who saw it knew exactly like him. Why am I sharing this? Because at the time, I realized that her concept of continuity. Sorry, I have to.
It's okay. You can take some time. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that concept taught me that you have to teach a child. So when she said, "That's not my dad," what she meant was the father I knew was a living, breathing, happy father. So I made a choice to teach her memories of how to live, of how he helped her live, rather than teach her pain of his death. And that is how I've helped my daughter get through life. So today I'm telling everyone that death is not the option for many people. Most people who even consider giving it up all, they don't want to. They only do it because they think they have to. But remind yourself, the same way my daughter said, "That's not my dad." Look at negativity, suicide, pain, everything in the face, and says, "That's not who I am."
Absolutely.
And choose the other way. And when you do, it will take you to your next steps.
Jigbodi Kwaku Dosu. Thank you so much for first of all, agreeing to do this. I know, knowing you, I know that this is also therapy for you as well.
Very, very good therapy.
So for everybody who is, have heard everything that Djibouti has says, know that this is coming from a very, very, very deep part of her heart.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for making appointments, for being unedited and speaking.
Thank you for
without
having
taking
me.
anything out.
Yeah.
Not holding back.
Completely unedited. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I want to share that. That's all it is. So thank you for having me, Miriam. And
thank you, Djibouti.
For those who want to learn more, they can always go to our social media pages at Djibouti Group, and they can find out more there about what we're doing today and how we've bounced back, and we're helping people to become the best, or I call it the bestest versions of themselves.
All right. I want to say a big thank you to my Major Khan, the producer, of course, to Faustino on social media, and to everybody else, to, of course, DJ BM, making sure that tech is in check, and Solution, and everybody else. And thank you, most especially, for tuning in to Unedited. We're back next week, Wednesday, God willing, with another interesting, inspiring, motivating story. I can't wait. I'm loving my Wednesdays, and I hope you are too. Do well to follow our social media handles, 3FM 92.7. My handle is Miriam Osei Ajiman on Facebook, and on Twitter is _real Miriam. Same on Instagram. I'm out. Have a good evening.
Unedited with Miriam.